welcome to 2017.
Yeah.
I'm
New
your usual
year.
host, Milo Dennison. Down at the end there is Miss Claire Milan, recently coming off her starring role in theater. And we have Mr. Adrian Heffernan. I don't know. Recently coming off Christmas break.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the Kodak Super 8 film camera. And so the reason why I find this is a fascinating subject is because I think there seems to be a bit of an analog revival. Yeah. And Kodak recently came out, re-released their Kodachrome film for photographers. They actually, I think it was a couple of years ago, they restarted remaking the Super 8 camera for the kids. Oh. You might have seen movies where they showed like the people with the little camera and it's like click, 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 click.
Oh, that's a Super 8 camera.
That's a Super 8. And so they re-released it a few years ago, and now they're coming out with another one, like a limited edition. And with this one, to my understanding, they showed it at CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. They're re-releasing it, and it has some digital aspects to it and some film aspects to it, to my understanding.
So it shoots the film, but you can export a digital...
I think that's all there, but now you can do digital, or you can do audio inputs and stuff, because the old Super 8 cameras were just silent film, silent films. And so that's kind of the thing. So I didn't get all the details off the article that I read, but I found it interesting in the sense that there's a market that still wants to make stuff on film.
No.
And we're all jumping over to digital this, digital that, photography, film, music. And there was an artiple recently, LPs, records, those old vinyls.
Oh yeah,
They set a record last year for how many sold, because people are doing this whole revival.
I mean, they set a record for probably very recent years.
Yeah, but still, that's showing that it's going up.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think, is this a bit of a hipster kind of... You know, I walk around town, I see some people with film cameras, but I'm not sure that, you know, besides a novelty factor in a very niche market.
Are Polaroids coming back?
Yeah. Polaroids coming back too.
So I remember a few years ago, one of my friends had a Polaroid camera and said this is like literally extinct. They couldn't find the actual...
The film was impossible to get,
And now they're back. I'm like, so it's quite interesting, because I think technology would hit a point where people get so sick of it, like this digital stuff, they'll go backwards. So maybe they'll go back to DVDs and videotapes, maybe. I don't know. So maybe
I shouldn't throw out that Walkman I've got in my attic.
Yeah, like we threw away our video machine, and it's the worst thing we ever did. I wish I still had it. You know, it have loads of, in charity shops, so many videos.
Yeah, and that's true.
More to play them. So I definitely think it's going to go backwards in with these cameras and stuff.
Would you get one then?
Video machine.
Yeah, that does film like the
Super 8
I'd love to try them.
Okay, so you shoot something and then you need to send it to a lab to get it processed.
Okay, that kind of puts you off then, doesn't it?
Yeah, there is definitely an associated cost. I'll occasionally shoot.
Yeah, every frame you're shooting is costing you money.
Yeah.
So like you can't look at it and go back, like obviously with digital.
And that's the other thing as well. Like we can review now and go, I'm not so sure about the exposure there, but shooting film, you know, you need to know what the hell you're doing, really. You know, it's a different skill set, really.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, it is.
I get really annoyed at people that, well, I just shoot it. It looks good on my camera or my phone or whatever. So there you go. I'm all for it.
I'm a massive fan of digital, I've got to say. You know, I mean, I've shot an awful lot of film, spent an awful lot of time in the dark room. I'd love to have a dark room at home for the novelty value, but like there's something about, you know, being able to see the image you're creating. You know, I love digital. I love how we can edit it. You know, how you can add sharpness, take away sharpness, color. It is such manipulation. It's so flexible. I have no interest in shooting color film. Black and white, there was something magical about that darkroom. You know, that you put that white piece of paper in the tray, and the image, you know, slowly comes up. Magical. I love the process. It really slows you down. But no, from a practical point of view, definitely not. I'm totally in love with it.
So do you think, say, as performers, I wonder, back when they had those older cameras, they couldn't do so many takes? It was more expensive, wasn't it?
Certainly was more expensive.
So I wonder, actors are under so much more pressure to deliver. then, wouldn't they have been, rather than a digital?
Yeah.
So it's
I
going to be
mean,
quite interesting to.
I guess those
see.
studios probably had, like, you know, if you were on a big budget. But I mean, yeah, it still meant every time you're rolling, it's money, you know? So there's definitely a more casual attitude. You certainly see it in photography. You know, people will just, like, spray, you know, they just shoot loads of images. You can go out with a card now and shoot 900 shots. You know, I used to go out with a roll of 24 frame, you know, exposures in my camera, and 24 was great. You'd take your time, you'd really consider, and so.
Yeah.
And do you think it makes people, maybe, like, makes camera people more, like, want everything to be so perfect? So if you can take 200 shots, you're more a perfectionist, maybe.
I think it might mean that you
losing
never
it?
slow down and you never consider the image. I think maybe you were more perfectionist when you only had 12. You had to make each one count.
Yep.
There was something about that, knowing that you couldn't just kind of take 7 and hope that one of them was all right. You went, I've only got, like, you know, another 23 shots. I better make sure this is. So it slowed you down and made you be more considered, I think, definitely. I think learning on film was a great thing.
And that's kind of why I like the whole making films on film as well, because it does the same thing. It forces you to slow down and make it perfect. I mean, we've all been on no budget film shoots, and it's like sucks.
I'll
Sucks.
just shoot
You
it
know,
and
like,
see what happens.
Yeah, and you know 10 takes, and you don't really care.
So you're more careful, obviously, if there's less shots you can take.
Yeah.
You look at things more because you have to.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting, isn't it, to think about that?
And I think it makes you better. You focus on lighting more, so you're actually paying attention to how the lighting's done and that kind of stuff. Versus, I don't think you pay enough attention when in a digital world.
Definitely not. Yeah. It'd be lovely if you could take that sensibility and bring it into your digital experience, but it's hard to do because you do have that in it. Yeah, let's just run and see what it looks like, kind of, you know.
But the one thing is, digital is more accessible,
Yeah.
so it allows more people to learn and people to make mistakes more. So there's more filmmakers out there like trying it, and I think that's a really good thing as well. Even though there's way more competition as well, you know, more people doing it, but
it's really democratized that idea. Like, that's what the digital revolution's all about. It's kind of meant that anybody can shoot, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend quite regularly accuses me of being a hipster, even though I don't have the tight pants. But I am kind of a snob when it comes to music and stuff like that. And if I had the money, I would go buy this.
Lovely.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's $2,000 US to get one of these cameras. I didn't get the pricing on the film, but same thing. It's going to be expensive.
And I wondered, do you have to send it off?
You have to send it off.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And yeah, here in Ireland, who knows? That takes 6 months before you got it back.
But isn't that exciting though? Waiting for it.
That's the thing. That's part of the excitement.
Yeah.
Like, I still shoot film photography sometimes. We were talking about this earlier. I have a medium format camera that I'll occasionally take out and shoot, and I love it. I have a light meter. So
brilliant.
it reminds me how to actually use a light meter. It reminds me to pay attention to every shot, and you'd be the exact same way if you were shooting a movie on film, I think.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, I think it would make
I'd love to play with it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, when I become rich and I'll get it, I'll let you play with it. Yeah. Click on the ads, people. Click on the ads.
Goddamn. Just keep clicking.
Okay, Claire, you wanted to talk about how to keep people happy on a film set, a low to no budget film set. Yeah. So we've all been on film sets, and you've all been like acting and doing camera stuff, and So how do you keep actors and a crew happy? So what's the number one, do you think?
Feed them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And we've all been in film sets where we've starved, and we've all been in film sets where we've been fed so well. Yeah. But you don't have to feed them too well, because I find if you feed people too well, they become a bit, not lazy, but a bit tired. After
oh no, we overfed the crew again.
So sorry.
Too well.
No, but I definitely think spread something out and don't give them all the treats at once. Just maybe have something for later, so people look forward to something. But also a lot of give people hot food. It's very important, especially outdoor shooting. Like we were in an outdoor shoot a few weeks back, and what made it was the hot drinks and the soup, and it saved.
In this
people.
weather, 100%. My God,
it's freezing, So.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, Claire, on the feeding people, and I don't know if you could feed somebody too well.
No, you can't really.
I
But
don't know if I've ever been on a set where I thought that was fed too well.
Oh my God, they're overfeeding me. He's got to be bigger for the role. He's got to be
it's
bigger.
so tempting because you do like on a film set, you do eat a lot of sugar and rubbish. You know,
That can give you real highs and lows of energy.
Yes,
That's not
and
good.
that's the one thing I've noticed. And caffeine,
Yeah.
and sometimes if you're too caffeinated, you know, and especially if you're an actor on a long film set, you don't want to put on weight. You know, you have to be so careful. You have to be careful. So I suppose food is number one, and people are happy because also with sound, if someone's stomach rumbles, it can sound like an avalanche.
That's very true.
But another thing as well is just being organised. One thing I've noticed, like any of the film shoots I was on, just keeping people informed about call times and where they're to be, locations, and you know, because nothing can be worse than people mixing up call times or being confused or giving the wrong location somewhere, especially if you're out going to like a mountain or a forest or something, or you know, just it's
people
so
being
important.
in the loop, really knowing what's happening, where they are in the script.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of it gives people a sense of ownership as well, and kind of some feeling of control.
And keeping people informed. Like if someone's running over and actors sit in the corner, the crew to come over to them and say, "Listen, we're running over," and then to keep it's like communication is one thing. It doesn't cost anything. It's you know, it might take a little bit more thinking and planning, but it's just so important. And of course, always stuff will happen, like unexpected stuff will happen, especially in outdoor shoots with the weather. It happened, you know, some stuff that I was on before. But you can't. There's stuff within your control and stuff outside your control. And as long as you control the stuff inside, you're okay. And another thing as well is just to, I think, anything I've produced, it's so important to remain calm. Even though you feel like screaming and when stuff goes wrong, but the worst thing you can do is pass it on to the cast and crew. There's nothing worse because it spreads like a virus.
Yeah,
you know?
people start to sense that you don't really know what is happening.
Absolutely.
You're starting to panic, and all of a sudden, everybody starts to go, "Oh God, you know, maybe I have something else I could be doing today."
And as long as you even pretend you know what's going on and keep people informed and happy and don't lose the cool, you know, if you have to go into a room yourself and
scream.
just do a scream. And because it does spread. I've seen that happen on film sets, you know, and the ones that work are the ones that like people do kind of remain calm and steady and pretend even that they know what they're doing, you know. So I think so I don't know what's your opinion. How do you think how to keep a film set happy and running productively?
I think people, especially on no budget or low budget stuff, I think people really need to feel like they're contributing and what they're giving, their ideas are being listened to, they're part of the whole kind of creative process. It's very rarely you can't, you know, if it's a huge budget, you can bark orders of people. You hear these horror stories of directors who torture actors into giving them kind of a great performance. You can't do that on a no budget thing, you know, because they're not contracted and you're not paying them. You know, so I think it's very much you have to give people, even if it's the illusion of being a really collaborative kind of thing, and that everything they're saying is really valued, and you've got to listen to them, make them feel totally part of the creative process, and give them some ownership.
Absolutely. And no matter if they're extras, you know, if they're like, it doesn't matter how small the part is, like treat everyone with respect. It's so important, you know, it's so important.
Wasn't it Owen O'Gorman was saying that was it Alan Parker he was talking about he worked with? And he was really good at knowing people's names, you know, even the extras, that. Like you know their names and things like that make you feel...
Just saying thank you, it's so, especially when if it's a kind of profit share, or if it's a low budget, no budget, you can't maybe pay people, they're turning up with the goodwill. To make them feel appreciated it's just a little thing that costs nothing. And it's amazing. It's amazing then, like, it's amazing how good you make them feel, and they're more likely to come back and work with you in the future. So it's important.
It's also an investment in the project you're in at the moment. They're less likely to drop out in a whim because they feel valued. They're less likely to tell you, "Oh, listen, actually, I have something and I have to leave." And I think we've all seen that happen on you know, no budget things where somebody just during shooting loses interest, you know, and that's tragic. You know, there's nothing you can do because you're not paying them, you're not contracting them. So.
Yeah, and one I'd like to add that you kind of went into it a little bit too is in regards to being respectful of people's time and stuff, and making sure when you're doing that schedule in advance that you're not only just trying to keep, but be conscientious about the schedule, and don't just say, okay, we want everybody there at 9 a.m., but then some people aren't filming till sometime in the afternoon, so why they're just going to be sitting around all day. And if you do have somebody that's coming in at a certain point, use them, that kind of stuff. Like, don't it seems a lot of frustration on a film set comes from the waiting around, and it's an unfortunate process of making a film, especially. Yeah, it doesn't matter, big budget, low budget, across the board, there's a lot of waiting around, and that's the nature of the business. But if you're waiting around knowing that something's going to happen versus, okay, hey, we need you, you showed up, you were sat here for 4 hours, we realized we're not going to get to your scene, so you could go home now. That person just wasted their day. And I've definitely
I had to
seen that
feel
happen
super
before.
undervalued, and that's really tragic, and that's,
It happened to me once actually as an actor. I called time at 7 a.m. I didn't shoot till 5 p.m.
Yeah, see? Mm-hmm.
Yes. It was torture.
Yeah.
Torture. Yeah. And you're tired then, and you have to give obviously a good performance, but it's kind of lack of respect a little bit. I know it does happen, but it was really bad planning.
It means that the directors never thought about you.
No.
Never thought about, and that comes back to kind of your point about kind of knowing where you are and having a good structure.
Absolutely.
It's really important that you kind of realize, listen, it's going to take 3 hours to do this, and that actor's already here or that person's here. Maybe we should tell them that they can.
And if you're there at 7 a.m., you're getting up at 5:30, 5 o'clock. So it's really, really long day unnecessarily. So that's important.
Even if you provide them with coffee and food in the morning,
which is the worst thing, because you're so caffeinated and sugar, like so much sugar in your system.
But also, like, that person, no matter how much they're invested in your project, they're going to be flat and uninterested by the time they get on camera, no matter what, like, because you've left them waiting around, and that does nothing for anybody. So it's just a bad strategy, even if from a really selfish director's point of view, I think.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about actors too, but I'm thinking crew as well. Make sure your crew, you have the right crew and enough crew. Being on shoots where you've got one camera person that's doing like everything, or one sound person that's doing everything, and I'm just like camera, sound, da da da, or the sound, or a person that just kind of is more or less stuck doing everything. We joke that that's the assistant director's job, is you just make the assistant director do it. But be aware of the crew too, because there's the flip side of that. You've got people sitting around doing nothing, and then you might have that person that's literally working from point A in the morning till point B in the evening, and going all day long because they're the one that's doing everything.
Especially with
because
crew,
you didn't get the right crew.
because they never stop.
That's a really good
Like crew compared to actors, these actors sit down. But a crew, like, sometimes they should tell themselves to stop because they're burning themselves out. I've seen that happen, and they don't take lunch, they don't eat, and then they get cranky. So it's so important that there's a schedule for a crew. Sit down 2 breaks even.
Well, that's exactly
So
if you've got your cameraman doing lighting as well, it's like there's no break there, I mean, between, and he's running back to the camera trying to set up a frame, and it's like it's all so rushed and it's so tiring that kind of you're not going to get the best out of him, and you're not going to get the best lighting or the best shots.
Exactly.
Yeah,
make sure to have a full crew. Good tips. All right, well, with that, we are going to draw another fun and exciting episode of No Budget to a close. So we will see you next time.